The first time Alyssa batted those thick eyelashes and flashed that disarming smile, alarm bells should have rung loud and clear. But I was blinded, seduced by a pretty face and the promise of a shiny new friendship, like a naive child plucked from the nest. Little did I realize that behind that sugary facade lurked a manipulative soul with a selfish agenda that would nearly destroy me. Alyssa slithered into my life during our first semester at college. We hit it off instantly, bonding over our love of obscure films and obsession with true crime podcasts. Within weeks, she had successfully integrated herself into my tight-knit circle, charming my closest friends with her magnetic energy and faux vulnerability. I was so flattered to be the new, cool girl's confidant that I eagerly overlooked those first subtle red flags. It started small, asking to crash at my place when she fought with her roommate, bumming a few bucks until her next student loan dropped. But the favors escalated rapidly. Soon Alyssa was using my car for weekend getaways, her dainty hands gripping the steering wheel of that little Honda like a gilded scepter while my tank drained to dust. And I'd come home to find my once tidy room in disarray, remnants of her latest pity party strewn across my floor in a kaleidoscope of chip crumbs and empty white claw cans. My friend Jared tried to warn me, his eyes pleading for me to see the truth. "She's playing you, Emma. Open your eyes." But I remained stubbornly devoted to our bond, convinced that Alyssa's neediness stemmed from a deep well of childhood trauma that only I could heal with unconditional friendship. I should have listened. The final implosion felt both sudden and inevitable. Alyssa had finagled her way into dating Seth, the sweet, well-meaning introvert in our group who always seemed vaguely out of place. At first, I naively hoped this new romance would be her salvation, her reason to finally claim independence and self-worth. But once she'd securely ensnared Seth in her web, the monster was unleashed. She began constantly berating him in front of us, slashing at his already fragile self-esteem like a sadistic cat toying with a crippled mouse. When he'd attempt to placate her foul moods, she'd sneer with contempt, "God, you're so pathetic." And yet, when he finally mustered the strength to pull away, Alyssa would unleash the waterworks, regaling us with heartrending tales of her traumatic upbringing to manipulate Seth into forgiving her latest emotional assault. Over and over, the cycle repeated, each rift widening until the breaking point finally shattered. "I'm done," Seth declared one afternoon, jaw clenched as he hurled a duffel bag over his shoulder. "She crossed a line. I can't describe the things she said. The insults she's branding into my soul." Jared and I watched, frozen in stunned silence, as our friend began the grim process of extricating himself from that toxic entanglement. Desperation drove Alyssa to her most reprehensible acts of manipulation yet. "Please, I'm drowning here," she sobbed into the phone, her voice grotesquely contorted. "The thoughts, they overwhelm me daily. I'm spiraling into darkness." Seth, bless his tender heart, wavered in the face of these hollow cries for help and harrowing discussions of self-harm. But I knew the truth, that these were the histrionic death rattles of an emotional parasite fighting tooth and nail to preserve her resource supply. Mercifully, the facade finally collapsed under the weight of its own deceit. Seth walked away, his posture lighter with each step toward the sunlight of freedom. Alyssa slunk into oblivion like a scurrying cockroach, her confidence and power finally crumbling to dust. While my friends found new purpose, joy, pursuit of healthier bonds, she became the campus ghost story, a legend of manipulation that incoming freshmen would whisper about in hushed tones, desperate to avoid her icy stare and toxic grip. The final delicious twist? Karma saved the cruelest wound for last. You see, the one thing Alyssa always seemed to covet most was the pretty, comfortable life I'd worked endlessly to build for myself. And I watched with perverse satisfaction as every shred of that material existence she so hungrily coveted was stripped away, no more doting boyfriend, cozy living arrangements, or access to my generosity. Just a lonely, penniless shadow condemned to eternal hunger, cast out by the one friend who saw her wicked truth from the very beginning. For a time, I teetered on the precipice of offering forgiveness, but Jared's wisdom prevailed. Some snakes can never genuinely shed their toxic skin. With a deep, cleansing breath, I let the embers of our bond turn to ash and scatter on the winds of life's forward march. For Alyssa, may this hard-won, solitary existence be a life sentence of her own making, the ultimate revenge for her callous cruelty.